Ravens hire Jesse Minter as their new head coach. What's it mean for Lamar? What's it mean for the offense? Well, that's TBA, as the OC will be as important as anything. But Minter is going to be a nice draw. We'll talk about what Minter brings to the table. Honestly, he's an unknown, in terms of head coaching, because he's getting his first go. But he is kind of a well thought of players coach, and he's been around a while, tagging along with Harbaugh most of the time. He was at Michigan. There's a lot of good, and the Chargers defense, while it's hard to remember how good they played last year because the offense was so on the struggle bus all year, they're top 10 pretty much across the board. So Minter brings a lot of potential defensive upside, you could say, and then it all comes down to the OC. But I believe they're trying to do the right things in Baltimore, and I do believe Lamar Jackson will bounce back in a significant way in 2026. And I'm on board the Lamar train, given the cost of entry will be pretty nice and the risk will all be baked in. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now. File on in. We're talking Ravens, we're talking Minter, we're talking Flowers, we're talking Derrick Henry, we're talking other things like Zach Robinson, the coaching carousel, all of that and more. That show begins right now. File on in, pal.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
So, some might say, oh, Jesse Minter, what's he? He's a defensive coordinator. He doesn't, he tagged along with Harbaugh. I think I'm going to change my Gunners out. These Gunners are amazing. I love these Gunners. If anybody doesn't know what Gunner is a huge sponsor on this channel.
The Gunner Player of the Week.
Brought to you by Gunner.com.
We're going to swap these bad boys out. Let's go with the... I think I'll roll with these bad boys. I like these. Blue light blocking glasses are where it's at, Gunner. Yeah, these are the best. I think these are what are these? Not the Mavericks. These are the Mustang. The Mustang. Love them. Love my blue light blocking assortment. I urge you all to go to gunnar.com, GUNNAR.com, link in description. Use code Smitty for a discount and get yourself some blue light blocking glasses and block that blue light. Significantly reduces like migraines for me and anything like that. Just want to give them a shout out. As Lamar Jackson, I also want to give a shout out and say Lamar of old, the massively producing 40 touchdown Lamar, the capable of 800 to 1200 rushing yard Lamar, the 3,800 to 4,000 passing yardage Lamar, I believe is back in 2026 because they're trying to build around him. This owner of this Ravens organization did an interview a few days ago and said that he doesn't know if he wants to be an owner of the team in 10 years' time. And that wasn't said in a way that's supposed to make you go, oh, he doesn't care. He's saying he cares more than ever. That the reason he's doing what he's doing, the reason Harbaugh's gone, and Harbaugh being shoved out and going to New York and being great for New York doesn't mean he was great for Baltimore. Sometimes it's time to move on. Tomlin has some upside in another location, but clearly he's run his course over in Pittsburgh. This happens. It happens all the time. And so Harbaugh, just because Harbaugh was no longer a fit here, because he didn't get along with Lamar, even though Harbaugh says him and Lamar they ended their relationship perfectly and he loves them and they love each other. Maybe they do have some love together. Like this is no pause needed. This is a loving relationship between Lamar and Harbaugh. But it doesn't mean it was working. It doesn't mean that Lamar was happy with the way he was being deployed in the offense. And the owner of the Ravens went on record saying that we are changing things. We are trying to win now. I need to win now because I don't know that I'm doing this another 10 years. And I'm not handing it down to family. I made a commitment that I wouldn't give the team to family. He's going to be out in 10 years or less. And so he wants to do everything he can to bring multiple championships before he ends it. And this is his motivation. And it's important to know that motivation is there, because it's not a motivation of dialing things back or pulling the reins back. So it's a very, very important part of this story. Now, you have several potential OCs, one being Kingsbury, that could come in, and that would be amazing for Lamar Jackson. We saw how good JD5 was his rookie year. Throw last year out the window. JD5 was fantastic his rookie year. Ran the ball a ton. It's a spread out offense. It's throw downfield. It's keep defenses on their toes. Lamar Jackson in a Kingsbury offense would be very exciting. You know, Daboll's still in conversations of, could he OC somewhere like this? You never know. Minter is not the head coach. Minter's a defensive mind, a defensive coordinator, came from Vanderbilt, came from Michigan under Harbaugh, was in LAC last year, and created a quietly top 10 defense. I mean, they were top 5 in several categories, but they were top 9 to 10 overall. If you look at all the stats and you bring them all together, you pull them all together, they're very much considered a top 8 to 9 to 10 defense for sure in the top 10. And that's good enough to say, hey, there's a lot here. The Ravens defense can be pretty good. That's going to cascade back to field position and giving back to the offense giving back to the defense. So Minter's OC will be very crucial and critical. I don't think he could mess up unless he brings in Nagy or Adam Gase or something weird like that. But other than that, with the candidates that are in the forefront right now for this position, and we're talking Kingsbury, we're talking Daboll, and Kingsbury may want and it sounds like I believe Kingsbury and the Commanders had a little bit of a rift going on, and that's why Kingsbury stepped away. He didn't feel like he could put himself in the best position to get a head coaching job if he stayed. He clearly doesn't agree with certain things going on. That's going to concern us a little bit about Washington, but again, sometimes fit doesn't matter, right? Or fit needs to be, you need to move on. It doesn't mean that what I mean to say is the fit matters, but the fit doesn't determine whether the coach or the OC is good. It just doesn't work. For whatever reason, it didn't work for Kingsbury in Washington. So he goes over and becomes OC for Minter. Maybe Kingsbury thought he'd get a head coaching job. Maybe Kingsbury wanted the head coaching job in Baltimore. In fact, we know he did. But he's willing to be OC for Lamar and look like the hottest commodity on the head coaching hire front next season. 2027 hiring cycle, that he gets whatever job he wants. This is the same thing that McDaniel's thinking. Kingsbury and Mike McDaniel both will probably be, if they're successful, if Kingsbury goes to Baltimore, if Malibu Mike is successful in LAC, where this guy's coming from, Minter, such a connected environment here, then they'll be the two hottest coaches in the National Football League searching for head coaching jobs in 2027. I love this move. I wasn't thrilled about it at first because I wanted to have McDaniel in Baltimore. I wanted to have an offensive guru in Baltimore as the head coach. Why? Because as we've talked about many times over, if you have a guy like Mike McDaniel go to the Chargers as the OC and not the head coach, he's gone after 1 year. So there's volatility and there's no security. There's no long-term plan really, because Miami Mike McDaniel, if he balls out and makes Hampton a top 5 running back.
I smell meatloaf.
In a jam, call HHH and Associates.
Triple H and Associates, locations on Earth and Jupiter.
If Mike McDaniel, Malibu Mike, makes Hampton a top 5 running back, makes this offense hum, he's gone. And so that was my thinking of Baltimore. Like, hey, I want McDaniel to be head coach, not offensive coordinator. So Minter wasn't my first and favorite choice. I would never have drafted this up, just to be completely upfront. But that's because I want continuity. You know, I want continuous coaching greatness in these fantasy football rich environments. I don't want turnover, because then look at Detroit. Ben Johnson should have been kept over Campbell and promoted to head coach, but these things are tough to do. It didn't seem like the right thing to do, but everybody knew it was the right thing to do. But boy, was it a mistake. And sometimes you need the cojones to be able to say, look, Campbell's great, but guess what? Ben's better. by Campbell. Ben, do you want the head coaching job to the Detroit Lions? Want the keys to the castle? He would have taken it at the time. You know, he obviously wouldn't go back now. He loves what he's doing. He's building something. But he would have, at that moment in time, if you said, we will fire Dan Campbell and promote you to head coach, he would say, give me the keys. And so that's what I wanted here. I wanted an offensive guru like Ben Johnson. Why did I even bring up Detroit? Because what I'm saying is Ben leaves Detroit and it crumbles. So, yeah, you know, you have Mike McDaniel in LAC. If he leaves, it's going to crumble. If Kingsbury goes to Baltimore and it goes great, it potentially could be reset in 2027. It just sucks. It's the nature of it. But guess what? All the head coaches are getting placed. We need to stop getting picky and to say, give me some 2026 love. Give me Kingsbury, because Malibu Mike is out of the picture. Give me Kingsbury or Daboll in Baltimore, and I'll worry about 27 in 2027. That's where we're at. So this is a good potential situation OC-wise. I'm really excited about it. Derrick Henry said today that he doesn't plan on retiring anytime soon. I don't think he'll be elite for another 2 years. Is it possible Derrick Henry has elite production for a majority of the 2026 season? Maybe misses some time, maybe doesn't, maybe just slows down in the middle of the year. Yeah, I think there's a real shot that he could do it one more year. Derrick Henry is unbelievable. I wouldn't bet, you know, all of my teams on it. I would take one share of Derrick Henry out of 10 teams. That's how much I'm worried about the floor falling out eventually. It's going to happen. It always happens. Everyone thought Adrian Peterson would never slow down. How many years did Adrian Peterson live in the league where we're like, you can't even draft him anymore? He's in Washington. Like, he just lingered. And Julio Jones, he'll have one more year. And we were like, no, he won't. And he didn't. AJ Green, like, just think about all the times you thought fall off couldn't happen. And it did. Don't fool yourself into thinking that this is a very great gamble to take. It's just a fun gamble, maybe a 10% roster saturation gamble in Derrick Henry. But this man right here is a must-own in 2026 fantasy football. Why? Let me show you. Because we're probably looking at, let's move these boys off the board and let's put Lamar on here. I think I have Allen. Allen's probably going to go somewhere in the top of 3. Could go late too, depends on if you're in a grandma league or not. And I don't say that to disparage your competition or belittle your league, but only a grandma league has Allen going round 2. But the weird thing is the grandma leagues are right. This is where he should be going. But the brainwashed veteran leagues out there, they're told, instructed, and brainwashed into thinking you can't take a quarterback in round 2. So the grandma leagues have it more accurate. It's tougher to draft Josh Allen because they're not tricked or brainwashed by the mainstream fantasy football media. So Allen probably cements in around top of 3. The Lamar Jackson value is going to be all over the board, no doubt about it. You know, acting like we know exactly where he's going to be is almost near reckless to insinuate that it's going to be the same across all leagues and formats. But for the most part, I think the one thing you can kind of count on, the staple, the rule of thumb, so to speak, would be that they're going to be a good 10 to 15 to 10 to 24 picks apart. I don't think Lamar is going right here. Had he got Miami Mike McDaniel as his head coach or even offensive coordinator, I think it would have closed the gap significantly. I think Minter as a defensive-minded head coach, now Kingsbury might also rise Lamar up a little bit, but Minter being a defensive-minded head coach, people wondering if he's going to fail. He doesn't have any proven head coaching ability, Smitty. This is going to at least distance them about a full round apart minimum. So we're talking about different round. So if you're drafting Josh Allen in the middle of 3, you're at least getting Lamar in the middle of 4. There's a chance he goes to late 4. There's a chance he goes to 5.1. It just really depends on how, I would say, out of touch your league is with quarterback value and how important a quarterback is. Obviously, Superflex, things completely change. Allen goes number 1. Drake May probably goes number 2. Lamar's going to be top 5. There's not going to be a significant discount in Superflex leagues. Although 5 overall, 6 overall, if you were to get him there, that is a pretty decent deal. So I would say there's really no way you're seeing Lamar here, not after a bad season last year. You're protected in that Kingsbury is the most exciting, probably, asset you could place next to Lamar to increase his value, and that's not going to increase it a ton. You have a bad season that he just dropped. So there's a lot of built-in doubt from people. So Lamar is going to be significantly cheaper. And this is an important round. Now, I'm not saying I'm not drafting Josh Allen. I'm drafting the hell out of Josh Allen. Josh Allen might be my most drafted player walking into 2026. But on the teams where I want to pull off something different, in the scenarios where when I'm going to pick Josh Allen, I don't want to pick him this high. So I'm going to take a running back or wide receiver that shouldn't be here. And then that's the team I'm going to say, if I don't get Josh Allen in 4, which I probably won't, so be it. I'll go after Lamar in that league. That's the way I'm looking at it. I draft players, not positions. I don't lock into certain players walking into a draft. I let the board fall to me. Best player available is the only way to draft. And it's either going to be Allen, Lamar, Drake May, probably Joe Burrow. In many cases, I'm going to own a majority of my teams will have those 4 quarterbacks on it. And that's just the way it's going to be. I'm a big advocate, and I'm sure a lot of you that didn't have quarterbacks last year are looking at me right now going, Smitty's true. This is true. Smitty's right now.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Those of you that didn't have good quarterback play, struggled week in and week out, trying to rotate and fill in the holes. There's nothing worse than not having good quarterback play. There's nothing worse than having to literally comb through the waiver wire, figure out what you're going to do. Having Allen or a Joe Burrow when he was back, it just, you sleep easy. And having it backed up is also important. So if Mahomes is a 6th or 7th rounder because of the ACL tear, guess who I'm owning as my second quarterback this year in round 7, or I've even seen talk about 8. Mahomes. I'll draft him with Josh Allen, and that's not even bully QB. Never in non-best ball should you be doubling up on quarterbacks in a 1 QB league. You're leaving so much value on the table. That's for best ball. And it's even tough in best ball to do that. But in non-best ball, in yearly league, home leagues, you draft a quarterback, you fill in your lineup before you go backup quarterback shopping, but Mahomes will be there. Dak might be there. Other JD5, who knows where he falls? I mean, people are doubting him like crazy. Herbert, I think Herbert climbs up a lot with his situation with Miami. Mike McDaniel now turned Malibu Mike. But, we'll see what happens. But there's definitely room for doubling up on QBs and making sure. Ray dropping a gifted membership. Ray, appreciate you dropping the gifted membership. Looking like Justin got it. Let's go through this news, then open the phone line. So Minter, defensive coordinator, again, came from Vanderbilt, came from Michigan, was with Harbaugh in Michigan as a defensive coordinator. Obviously was our cornerbacks coach. And then when he got to LAC, became a defensive coordinator and was everything, an assistant. He's been all over the place under Harbaugh, but really rised up into a more significant defensive coordinator role in the NFL as a LA Charger. So this is an exciting, I think, move because of what it potentially could do for the defense while still allowing the offense to have its own identity, not tied to Minter. Zach Robinson hired as the Bucs OC, and I know some people might think this is bad. I don't think it's bad. I think that this is, look, Bijan was phenomenal, and in London when Penix Jr. was under center, we had London as wide receiver 1 3 times. I think this is exciting for Bucky. I think this is exciting for Baker. I think this is exciting for Buka. This is exciting for Mike Evans if he does return, which I don't think he will. Buka to the moon if that happens, because I know a lot of people are going to doubt this kid. But we got Bucky going to the moon with this news. You got Rashad White gone. I know Sean Tucker's still there, and he'll certainly get some run. But we had Bijan absolutely explode in 2025. And I think Bucky's going to be used. He's going to be Zach Robinson's Bijan. This is really, really good news, despite what someone might make you think because of Atlanta's ups and downs. You have to look at the bigger picture. Just like the Petzing to Arizona, the Arizona Petzing offensive coordinator to Detroit Lions move, you got to look at the positives. Brissett and Michael Wilson went absolutely bananas at the end of the year. From the middle of the year all the way through to the final whistle, Petzing had Brissett and Wilson going bonkers. McBride going bonkers. McBride was absolutely crazy. McBride was on pace for, since the switch from Kyler to Brissett, he was on pace for, I want to say it was like 15 touchdowns and like 1,300 yards and 110 to 115 receptions. I almost guaranteed those numbers, if not higher, at least those numbers. That's what McBride was on pace for once Brissett got in there. You got to look at that and say, when Zach Robinson had a quarterback, London was the wide receiver 1 3 times. Bijan was amazing all year. Pitts got revitalized. So, look, this is a fantastic move. You can doubt Zach Robinson all you want for whatever reasons you want, but he only had so much control of that situation. Handed the quarterback situation he was handed and did very, very good. Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Christian McCaffrey, Stafford, and Drake May, NFL MVP finalists. This will be a very interesting race. Drop in the chat who you think will win and who you think should win. Those could be two very different things. This right here, Bills completed their interview with Brian Daboll, and word on the street, and this has been the word that's been on the street for a while, we're going to have Josh Allen not just giving input on the next head coach in Buffalo, but Josh Allen will be truly a part of this process. Josh Allen gets to not decide, but he's got a heavy vote and a heavy hand in this. Like, they're not going to go with someone Josh Allen doesn't want. This is the point where Buffalo says enough's enough. And I truly get the vibe that they're going to go get Evans through free agency. They're going to make sure they trade up in the draft to get the right wide receiver. They'll figure out what they got to do to bring in at least a Wan'Dale Robinson, but probably upgrade that into some bigger thinking and try and attempt it. I think they realized their window's closing, not closed, but just, and not even that they have less ability to win a Super Bowl if they do put the right pieces in place. Just that they've got this closing window where they can be just as explosive anytime they decide to do it. But once the window closes, it becomes a lot harder. Josh Allen's putting the team on his back, and they're going to say, what do you want, Josh? Finally. And Josh Allen, I believe, is going to pick Daboll or Davis Webb. He has ties to both gentlemen. I think whatever Josh Allen wants, I want, because I know he's going to get what he believes he needs to get over that hump and jump over that last hurdle. Very excited about Daboll. Daboll's the coach that helped create Josh Allen, helped work on his mechanics and become the player he was. Daboll was responsible for the rise of Josh Allen from the beginning. So full circle back to bring Daboll in to be head coach would be amazing. And I believe that Josh Allen will choose Brian Daboll. So at the end of the day, I think Brian Daboll does become head coach of the Buffalo Bills, and it will be something that it might rise Josh Allen's value up into that territory where we say, I don't think anybody is going to, by the way, I still need to get on top of mock draft number 2. I might need to or mock draft round 3. I might even need to redo, rounds 1 and 2 a little bit. But Josh Allen could climb to the bottom of 2, potentially even in some leagues where people are more apt to not draft in a 1 QB, a quarterback in the second round. Maybe Daboll does excite people. Maybe Daboll doesn't. The average fan probably doesn't know the history of Daboll and Josh Allen. They'll certainly hear it and be brainwashed into thinking it matters, even if they don't know that it matters. But I don't know how much that will affect or move up Josh Allen in rankings, but it moves it up in my view. As we talked about for years, there's something going on in San Francisco, and Niners GM John Lynch at a press conference said they're looking into everything to find out why the injuries continue to pile up, including investigating the viral electrical substation, aka power plant conspiracy theory. And it's not like they blew this off when they were talking about it yesterday. And a reporter asked, like, hey, I'm not saying that this is a thing, but like, can you maybe shed some light on it? What are you doing with it? Have you looked into it to debunk it? Not saying it won't be debunked, but it seemed kind of strange to me. What do you think? And you'd think that leading of questions and the order of that would set John to go up. Yeah, we're not. John said we're looking for any research that might support this. The way John Lynch explained it, they're at the very beginning stages of this. You can't go find some sort of journal published on such a matter, or some sort of 500-person study on this environment and how it can affect ligaments and tendons that no one's going to properly study. Not to mention, the biggest study might be the players on the mother freaking field. The biggest study might be looking at the Niner ligaments in these players and figuring out, is there a weakness? They might have to go through, mark my words, they might have to go through and spend tons of money on imaging, and every player's got to get in line and they got to take a look at their Achilles, because you don't know how an Achilles tendon looks until you do imaging on it. And you'll see some redness, some irritation. You'll see definitely some damage. If you would have looked at Greenlaw, remember Greenlaw who just walked on the field. He just walked on the field, tore his Achilles, 49er player, during the Super Bowl. You remember that? If you would have done imaging on his Achilles, you would have saw damage. So I kind of think the way to study this is you look at the Niner Achilles tendons and ligaments, you look at other players, and you could easily see whether there's a difference. And then I think, and we talked about this over and over, it doesn't just end there. If the substation does in fact weaken ligaments and tendons because of the electrical pulses and everything that goes on with this power plant substation that's literally right next to the field. It's right next to the outdoor field. It's right next to the stadium, and it's right adjacent to the stadium and the field. Like if there is a ton of current and electrical output that's going in and radiating through all these players' ligaments and brains and muscles and tissues, it's literally right outside next to it on the open outdoor field. And I've said for years, 3 years or more, someone needs to investigate this situation. And someone might say, Smitty, what do you want him to do? I don't know. That's why you bring in an independent investigator that will say, I'll ask my own questions. Don't tell me your theory. Let me just keep poking around until I find something. That's what investigation is. Sometimes you go off nothing and you turn in a lead and you figure it out. And you're like, oh my God, imagine if this unveiled during an investigation. They haven't done anything that you could say this is, there's a study that proved it. No, there is not. They found studies that may prove this or that under these conditions about this, not about NFL players sitting next to a substation and seeing how their ligaments, when pushed at NFL levels, can hold up. Maybe it doesn't damage a ligament or tendon on a normal person. It's not, exerting their force and their ligaments like a player is to snap them. If you poke a hole in a rubber band and never stretch it, the rubber band might not snap. But NFL players are stretching their tendons and ligaments differently than a study might have it. If you look at a study of rats or a person or an old person or a regular Joe that's not testing ligaments and soft tissue out to the max like a NFL athlete is. They say when you turn age 30, the average person, no, not the average person, 90%, I think, of the human population, 90% of all human beings, once they turn 30, never sprint again in their life. And you're telling me there's data or research that studies ligaments and tendons of substations next to NFL athletes that exert energy in a different way? Give me a break. Don't even come in here with that Mickey Mouse lazy take. This has not been looked into. John's looking into it. The Niners are looking into it, but we have no evidence yet that this thing is a nothing burger. If you say so, you're regurgitating what you heard, and it's lazy and embarrassing. These are the head coaching hires so far, and the teams that still need head coaches. Minter to the Ravens, Harbaugh to the Giants, Stefanski to the Falcons. What a horrible hire that is. Halfley to the Dolphins, and Salah to the Titans. Bills are still open. Daboll, we hope, goes there. Steelers are open. Browns are open. Browns probably upgrade from within. That's a Browns move. Schwartz will probably be the head coach, which is going to be just more of the same. Cardinals, I don't know what in the hell. If they pull a Nagy, I'm pausing my Cardinal fandom. There's no way you can root for Nagy. Raiders, hopefully it's Kubiak. So that's where we stand right now in the coaching carousel situation. Let's open the phone lines up. Any super chats will be handled in order in which they're received. And let's have a little conversation, shall we? And then we're going to go celebrate Taco Tuesday here on what is it, Thursday? I think it's Thursday, right? Yeah, it's Thursday. I don't even know what day it is. I never know. I only know what day it is if there's a game. Dial into the show. Dial into the show. Dial into the show.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Now, I hope that the phone line is working. You're live. Who's this and where are you calling from? I think I need to get a speaker going. Hold on one second, pal. Let me just press this button. And get everyone on screen. Hold on. Let me merge this call too. Husseini, hang tight. I can't hear you yet. Let me just enable the speaker real quickly. And let's see here. Hold on one second. There we go. We are a go. Okay, Husseini, please mute yourself. The other caller who called first, you are live. I can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Smitty, Landman here.
Landman. What's up?
Hey, man, nice teddy. I noticed you have socks tonight, huh? Showing off that teddy.
Yeah, we don't. Sometimes we don't bring the shoes to the show.
No, I'm just busting balls.
Yeah,
Hey, man,
they're not painted like Caleb's nails, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm still, with all the hires, that's great, and I think the OCs that instead of taking the head coaching job to a really like a bad team like the Cleveland Browns and having 1 year and then being gone, I think they're making the right decision, and that's exciting to be in those teams for OC. But I'm really liking the Raiders head coaching job. You think Kubiak's going to get it?
He's got to. What else are they going to do? I can't imagine. In terms of fit, I can't imagine there being a better fit. I don't know what, when I look at the carousel, the coaching carousel, and I try and figure it out. Let me pull it up here real quick. Hold on. Let's see. Coaching carousel. There we go. So Minter's no longer a question mark. Schwartz feels like the hire for the Browns. It's such a Browns thing to do. Why don't we do more of the same? Why don't we just hire within and do? I was thinking, you guys like my idea? I had an idea last night. I could just see the Browns having a meeting. Everybody gather around. I have an idea. Let's do more of the same.
They have a better chance hiring Sonny Weaver.
Yeah, maybe. So short. Okay, so Buffalo, Daboll. I don't think Shula is still in the mix for sure. Kubiak, Flores. I would say if let's say Flores was the hire for the Raiders and then they brought in like Daboll, I would love that. Or Kingsbury or something like that. Even Munkin, like Flores and Munkin, I'd be fine with that. I know people don't love Munkin. A lot of people don't. I do. I think Munkin helped create Lamar Jackson, #1 quarterback, 40 touchdowns. Like that. Munkin's done wonders. A lot of last year just was injuries and a lot of things unfolding, and that's why Harbaugh's gone. And Harbaugh's not a bad coach, and Harbaugh's going to do great in New York. But sometimes things just need to be shaken up, and the relationships are becoming stale, and you get complacent. But Munkin under Flores would be interesting. I'm not saying that's going to happen. Shieldhouse maybe with Flores and LV, Kingsbury and Flores and LV. Kingsbury as head coach even could be, potentially solid. But Kubiak is by far and away my hope for LV. Kingsbury, OC in Baltimore probably. We'll have to see. I don't know what, Webb is certainly a possibility in Buffalo, as is Daboll. So we'll just have to see. But Kubiak is by far and away the best fit for the Raiders. I mean, think about what Kubiak has in Seattle. He has Walker Charbonnet. He's going to have Genty even better in LV. Kubiak has JSN. While Bowers is different, I get it. It's not the same position, but man, it's talent. It's downfield talent. And when you have Darnold versus now you're going to get Mendoza and you get to craft him from the ground up. Think about if you were going into a job, right? If you were going into a job, let's say somebody said, "Hey, landman, I want you to become a landman." and hire the contractor, the oil workers, everything. Is it attractive to go to a situation where you get to have the player who's never played for another NFL coach yet? It's like moving into a house or that's been remodeled, or a house it's a new build. There's nothing better than going into a house that no one else has lived in. It's like the same concept here. If Kubiak is an offensive mastermind and you say, I'm going to hand you a quarterback that has already got habits and you got to cultivate, or I could hand you Mendoza and he's putty in your hands and you get to construct this the way you want. That's the most attractive landing spot by far. Tom Brady's involved. He's not going to be overpowering either. He's going to be a helpful tool and asset. But Kubiak gets Mendoza, Genty, Bowers, and then a defense that has a lot of potential. And Max Crosby being one of the best defensive players in the National Football League. I can't imagine feeling more comfortable than going to LV, regardless of what the lazy people will say out there about. But it's the offensive line. But the offensive line's got to change before you. Yeah, we know, Steve. We know. We understand.
Yeah. No, I get it.
But hopefully,
did you get a call from the Cardinals yet?
No call yet.
They'll hire you as a consultant.
No, the Cardinals would never hire anyone solid, I don't think. We'll see. Hold on one second, Landman. Let me go to Husseini real quickly. Husseini, you're live, then I'll go back to Landman. Yo.
Yeah, I agree. I think Kubiak kind of just fits perfectly in that Raiders offense with how you just explained it. And it's kind of like with the opening positions, like you said, there's not really much else available at this point. And that's really the only attractive place. And honestly, in his situation, like you said, the most attractive place. And it's still open. So it's like kind of seems like it's meant to be. And then, but what I originally was calling was because, like, now this one's a more wild take, but had to do with the coaching. What do you think about McDermott to the Steelers? He kind of seems like another Mike Tomlin kind of coach. Like, I think maybe a little better, but I don't know. But he seems like that kind of guy, like a managerial, more defense-minded kind of like head coach who's tough on players. He's just very kind of, I don't know. I may be wrong, but it seems like he would be a good fit for the Steelers. And then, I don't think he's a bad coach. I also don't think he's like, something like a, Belichick or Andy Reid or something like that. But I think he's a decent coach. And at this point, I don't really know what more the Steelers could really do or get.
Yeah, I could easily see it happening. And I would be okay with the McDermott hiring. He's always well-liked. A lot of Josh Allen liked him. A lot of people like him. He was a scapegoat. Brandon Beane is the awful, piece of this equation.
Yeah,
it sounds like, Brandon Beane, I wasn't as against him as everybody else, even though I don't think Brandon Beane provided any value. But after hearing some more stories about him and watching him, like, what an unprofessional organization. No offense, Buffalo. And I'm a Buffalo fan. So half my family's from Buffalo. So that's why I'm a Buffalo Bill fan. I'm a big Josh Allen fan. People don't know that on their channel. Now you know. But this organization, how classy are you when you go up to a podium or you have a press conference and both your head coach and your owner are trying to fight over who is the one that screwed up on Keon Coleman while he's still on the roster? What a disrespectful conversation. If I was Keon Coleman and I'm watching that, I'm so pissed, man. I'm requesting a trade the very next minute. if I'm sitting there watching, going, now he didn't screw up on Keon. I screwed up on Keon. And they're like, Keon's a bum. But everyone blaming him. He didn't know Keon sucked. No one knew Keon. I'm the owner, and I decided I wanted the sucky player. Like, what a disgrace. By the way, 50 gifted memberships from BBQ. Unbelievable.
You've just been Smitty.
So I don't know. My Buffalo Bills, I'm very, very upset about right now. They're just, and the fact that like there's a good chance this Brandon being promoted from not only GM, where he's been mucking up things for a while, they give him a raise. He becomes president of football operations on top of being GM, and they make McDermott the scapegoat. It's tasteless, and it shows incompetency from the top, from the higher up level down. So the only thing you can say though is that if they bring somebody in, and this might be where Brandon Bean is not what's right word to describe Joe Scheinbach's. Joe Schein in New York is he reminds me of like a lot of politicians. Like he'll sell his soul for a vote. He'll do anything to stay in office. And Joe Schein is like, hey, if I don't have any say at all, that's fine, you know. And Harbaugh's like, I'm not reporting to Joe Schein. He's incompetent. I'm reporting straight directly to the owner, and I want it in writing. And Joe Schein's like, okay. Brandon Bean's not going to do that, especially as he got promoted to president of football operations and GM. They're going to be careful how they go around this and bring someone in. Now, the reason Harbaugh had a lot of pull is it was almost as if, does anybody remember in The Sopranos when Tony Soprano walks in? And this is negotiate. We're going to have a lot of psychology in fantasy football, trading in fantasy football. Your boy's going to bring, your boy's got a psych degree, so I bring the psychology to the table when it comes to trading. And this is a perfect example. We'll have a show on this exact scene from The Sopranos. But Tony goes in season 1, and he goes, June, you told me come heavier, not at all. And he walks in, and Junior, waves all of his minions away, and Tony sits down, and he says, look, Jackie passed away. This family needs a new leader. And Junior's expecting Tony to say, I want to be the boss. And Tony says, I think it should be you, Uncle June. And Junior gets so excited. You're giving him the world. Like, Junior's been waiting for this. He thought he was going to have pushback. He said, can you speak for everybody? And he says, I can. And so he accepts it. Junior becomes boss of the family in that moment because Tony gave it to him, right? No struggle, nothing. But then Tony grabs the back of his head, pulls it in, and whispers in his ear. And he goes, the paving unions, that's my price. And so he already gave it to him, but then asked for something massive that if he asked up front wouldn't happen. But he gave it to him, and because Junior didn't want to derail the moment and where he was headed, he said yes to that. That's negotiation 101. It's beautiful. That's why sometimes it's frustrating when you make a trade offer to somebody. They're about to accept it, and then they throw something else in, and you're like, damn it, what are you doing, bro? But that's a tactic. And so back to why I'm even bringing this up is Harbaugh decided and made it known that he's going to be the head coach of the New York Giants. Let's work out a contract. And in that said, I'm not doing this if I'm reporting to Joe Schein. If he had come in with that attitude, there might have been a chance they didn't put this on the stage and platform in front of everybody to see. The fact that Harbaugh was already being celebrated by the fan base in the NFL world and all the pundits saying, what an amazing hire. The Giants are super intelligent, just like Junior said, I'm the boss of the family. I'm the boss of the family. And Tony grabs his neck, pulls it in, and whispers in his ear, I want the paving unions. That's my asking price. That's Joe Schein. That is the New York Giants. They had no choice but to give Harbaugh whatever the hell he wanted. What are they going to do? Back out? They'd be the laughing stock of the NFL. Oh my God, they let it blow up over Joe Schein. Joe Schein had to do it. Buffalo, Brandon Bean, my whole point, they're going to have to be careful with this one because they also can't be put in blast on the spotlight of needing to do something like this. And Brandon Bean's so arrogant and thinks he knows so much about ball, and he doesn't. He knows nothing about ball. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't go near things that could put them in bad light like that. So this is similar to how the Chicago Bears, when they had the chance to bring in Kingsbury to work directly with Caleb Williams, and the head coach, what's his face?
Eberflus or whatever.
Eberflus. Eberflus could have brought in, instead of bringing in one of the worst coordinators that he could have hired, as we said over and over and over. They could have brought in Cliff Kingsbury, but because Cliff Kingsbury was such an overshadowing character, they could have potentially taken Eberflus's job. Eberflus didn't want to hire him. And this Ryan Poles, who everyone thinks is amazing, he's a horrible GM. And Ryan Poles allowed this to happen. He sat there and watched Eberflus say, nope, he's too strong. We need someone else. Let's bring in Shane Waldron from Seattle, who was horrible. Shane Waldron's one of the worst offensive coordinator decisions you could make. They bring in Shane Waldron, who I don't even think at the time I'd called a running play yet. And he only runs 2 wide receiver sets, and you just drafted Rome Odunze as your 3rd wide receiver. It was the worst fit ever. And Ryan Poles allowed this all to happen. Like, it was crazy. Brandon Beane's the same thing. Like, this is a mess. I don't think Brandon Beane has the ability to make, just like Ryan Poles had no ability or balls to make the right decision and say, Eberflus, I don't care what you say. Kingsbury's our OC. He was Caleb's QB coach at USC. Kingsbury is like a father figure to Caleb. And Ryan Poles allowed Eberflus to say, no, he's too strong. He's going to take my job. Ryan Poles coward to not be able to push that into motion. Brandon Beane, same thing. Brandon Beane is not a good GM. Brandon Beane is not good head of football operations. Brandon Beane will not make the right decisions. We only have to hope that they bring in the right coach. The coach guides the ship, and there's no way to derail it. Kind of like Joe Shine. Like, even if Joe Shine, if they didn't bring in Harbaugh and they brought in, let's say they brought in someone like Kingsbury or whatever, or Miami Mike McDaniel, and he became New York Mike McDaniel. There's a chance that Joe Shine could get in the way enough that this thing has a mind of its own. The talent's too good, so hopefully Buffalo can still make it happen, but damn, man. All right, let's go back to Husseini real quickly, then back over to Landman.
Yeah, just on that, so as far as Buffalo, probably going to be like you said, most likely Daboll or Webb. I don't know too much about who Webb is, but as far as Daboll goes, I feel like he's someone, I was not going to be wrong, but based off what I've seen from him, he's like someone who seems like the type of guy who doesn't take shit from people.
No,
so I feel like if Josh Allen were to say, yeah, I'm leaning Daboll, that's my guy, and I want him.
Yeah.
And let's say he comes in, and then I know Daboll's not going to take shit from Beane. Like, he's going to be, who the hell is Beane?
Yeah, but that's going to be a similar thing that McDermott, it definitely doesn't necessarily mean he's going to save his job in time. There could be a rift that ends up getting divided and they end up moving on from him. But success will change that. If Daboll comes in and wins, and Josh Allen's like, I'm winning to keep your job, then they could have the worst relationship in the world. But if they're winning, it won't matter. So I agree with you. I think Daboll is the best option. I think Josh Allen wants it. I think that, part of Brandon Beane right now, he does want to succeed. And as long as there's not a pissing match between Brandon Beane and Daboll that we don't know about, or some sort of background, that would stand in the way. Like, Brandon Beane is a weak enough, I think, role in this situation, a weak enough character in this story, that if there's a reason for him to get all in his feelings, he'll allow it to control the ship. Just like they wouldn't have brought Harbaugh in, because Harbaugh would have said Brandon Beane's not involved, and Brandon Beane would never have that, so they wouldn't even go that direction. They wouldn't open that Pandora's box. Thank you, BBQ, and thank you to all of you in the chat right now, and congrats to everybody that got a gifted membership. BBQ dropping gifted memberships like a monster. Thank you again for that. All right, hold on, Husseini. Let me go back over to Landman. Landman, you're live.
Yeah, go ahead.
Phone line's open, by the way. Go ahead, Landman. Hello? Hello?
You're on mute, brah.
Landman? Landman, you're on mute. All right. Husseini, you're live. Speak for Landman.
Oh, given the coaching options, and let's pretend Kubiak goes to the Raiders, and then Daboll goes to the Bills. Just pretend. Now, what's available? Who would you want the Cardinals to get to have at least a sense of direction?
Who do I want the Cardinals to get?
But just you personally, as a Cardinals fan, and for fantasy purposes, for MSJ, for McBride, everyone.
I'll tell you.
Who do you think?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'm not interested in that. I don't think like that, which is good for you guys. I don't have any fandom involved at all. If anything, I don't want to pull the best options to Arizona because I don't know that Arizona is going to be the best use of that resource. I'd rather, if I was to try it, like let's say you put me in charge of the organization, I mean, I'd try and get Flores. I'd bring Flores in and then make sure I get like Kubiak. I mean, that's, Kubiak's probably going to get a head coaching job. I bring a Kubiak as head coach or Flores and maybe Shieldhouse potentially, maybe Munkin, maybe, obviously I'd try for Daboll and Kingsbury, but of course I'll go after all of those. I like your McDermott idea, McDermott and potentially a Shieldhouse or a McDermott, and it depends on, what McDermott would do at OC if he brought, you bring in one head coach, it could close the door on all the OCs because of the way that, whether they call plays, whether they don't, whether they're a head coach or offensive coordinator versus defensive coordinator. But McCarthy would be interesting to me. I really still think McCarthy's pretty good for fantasy football. I think he could be in the right situation and still be very good. I like McCarthy. I think McCarthy got a bad rap. I think McCarthy's also likely to go to Pittsburgh if Aaron Rodgers returns. If McCarthy gets hired by Pittsburgh, that means Aaron Rodgers behind the scenes has said that he's likely to come back. Although I don't know that he's going to make an official commitment, but Pittsburgh might hire McCarthy for that reason. And this wouldn't be the first time that Aaron Rodgers had somebody hired to lure him in and he didn't go. But McCarthy to Pittsburgh seems likely. I'd take him in Arizona. I think I'd be fine. But I'm not interested in pulling Kubiak to Arizona. I'd rather him be in LV. I don't even think about the Cardinals. And even though I'm a Bills fan, I don't even think about the Bills like from that perspective. I think about it from Josh Allen and fantasy football. It has nothing to do with rooting for a team at all. I pretty much like, you could say I've let go of that it sucks. There's pros and cons to what I do. It's kind of like if you study religion in at a college level, let's say you get a major in religion, they say there's a 90% chance or more that you won't be a religious person anymore because you just see so many things from different, like it's hard for me to really ever be a fan like I was. I don't have that excitement for a team anymore because I've spread myself around the entire National Football League in terms of my enjoyment of watching football, rooting for players. It's unfortunate, but it's the sacrifice I make. I can't have my fandom for the Cardinals will never reach the fandom of almost every one of you watching that are a strong advocate for one team. I'll just never have it. It's what I sacrificed when I signed up for this. But yeah, it's fine for me. I enjoy the 32 other teams so much independently that I get my fix that way, and I'm fine. If anything, it gives me a little bit more, you could say, peace in a way. Because I don't live and die by the Cardinals. I live and die by the fantasy football impacts. I'm more torn up about Stefanski going to Atlanta than if you told me the Cardinals organization got sold tomorrow. I'm more tore up about Stefanski being hired than that. Go ahead.
No, that makes sense. I mean, even for fantasy purposes, I feel like the right coach in Arizona could just because they have so much talent. Yeah. Just from ownership and I guess the GM and stuff, they're just pod poop. But it just sucks because they have so much talent on the team that the right coach I feel like could, at least for maybe not in real life NFL like playoffs and stuff, but and maybe they could, I don't know. But at least for fantasy purposes, they could keep McBride as a tight end one and maybe at least bring MSJ as a top 10, top 15 relevant receiver, whatever. But I don't know. There's just a lot of talent on that team, and it kind of sucks that they don't really do much with it.
Yeah. All right, Hussein, anything else, pal?
No. I think that's it.
All right.
I think Minter will be interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's a good hire, but
Yeah.
It'll be
I like
interesting because, it's going to be his first year being a head coach, so you just don't know what you're going to get.
I love the recipe.
But I think it's more so. Yeah, I think it's good. I just think a lot will also have to do with who they get as their play caller from the offensive side. I think if they pick the right person, I think that they'll be just fine. But we'll see. I don't know. It's a good, at least for the defense, though. I think it'll make the defense back to pretty decent shape, pretty relevant. The Ravens solid defense,
All right.
So,
yeah, I'll speak to that in a second right now too. So thanks for calling in, and I'll continue what you're saying. Appreciate you, Husseini. Call him tonight. We'll be live tonight. All right, later, bro. To what he's saying, like, I like this formula. It doesn't always work, hence you look at McDonald in Seattle, it's fantastic. Okay, you bring in a defensive-minded head coach. Now you need an OC, and you need a powerful one. Don't necessarily need the powerful DC, but it definitely, you attract a lot of good DCs because of this formula. But this OC allows you to bring in a Kubiak. So this is Seattle right here. Seattle has the perfect formula. When it lands, it's perfect because it's defensive-minded head coach. You almost get a second head coach in this OC. Kubiak to me is like a second head coach. Now, in the case of Atlanta, they kind of didn't land it, even though with the formula is used, and I think they probably go the opposite way this time. Like I said, we had a top load washing machine, and it kept getting unbalanced. And when we do laundry for like a month, we had to do it like 7 times to do one load of laundry. It kept going error, and then you hit restart, error, restart. Miss Smitty's out there screaming. I'm doing a live stream, and I hear a gong, gong. You hear it through the walls, just kicking the thing. So when we went to buy one, Miss Smitty's like, we aren't getting a top loading washing machine. We're getting one. I don't care if I've got to bend down to do it. We're going front load on the washer, plain and simple. It was done. So Atlanta, they had Zach Rob, and so they fire their head coach, who's not a offensive coordinator, and that didn't work out. Doesn't mean that recipe won't work. It just means they're probably not going that route this time. As far as like Atlanta now, they bring in Stefanski, and this is Atlanta. They bring in Stefanski, who is an offensive-minded guy, play caller, even though he's trash. Now, how are you going to get an OC? Your OC is going to be a clipboard holder. You might get a good DC, but so for me, when you talk about Minter and we talk about the Ravens, I love this formula still. I think if you land the formula, it's fantastic. So you put Minter in here. Minter is a defensive-minded guy. This is like McDonald in Seattle. And now you can bring in a heavy hitter that almost serves as a second head coach. And maybe this will be a Daboll. Probably won't be. But if it's not Daboll, then hopefully Kingsbury. Kingsbury is sometimes a little overpowering. That's why we think he's probably leaving Washington already, or why he left Washington. He's already gone. But, this is good firepower. You bring in a Shieldhouse maybe. That could, out of LAR. I mean, Shieldhouse could be pretty good there. But Minter, this gives you the offensive-minded guy. We don't even know how powerful this offensive coordinator position will be for Baltimore. It could be awesome. This could be this is the difference maker. It is the difference maker. Minter's fantastic. This is your McDonald. Who is this? This needs to be an important land, but if it is, Ravens to the moon. And I don't think that they don't make it a good land. I think it is going to be a good land. The candidates that are involved right now are fantastic. Daboll, Kingsbury should be really solid. Don't see Pittsburgh hiring McCarthy. He's 62, and they go in different directions. Let A-Rod go to Minnesota, which wouldn't be bad. We wouldn't mind that at all. And make JJ, Justin Jefferson, usable in fantasy. Steelers need a young. But the thing is, they're looking at it, though, hardcore. So, I mean, if Aaron Rodgers stays, if McCarthy gets hired, Aaron Rodgers behind closed doors has already pretty much said, I'm likely coming back. So if they don't hire McCarthy, I believe you're right, BBQ. They don't want to do that. They're doing it for Aaron Rodgers. But we'll see. And that's a $10 hauler from my boy BBQ, dropping a 10 wad. $10 haulers get moonshots. If it'll play.
Too much.
Where's my Saturn button? No? No Saturn?
To Saturn.
Okay, no moon? No moonshot. Jupiter?
To Jupiter.
I guess the moon button is broken. I'll have to fix that. All right, DJ, real quick, because I'm about to go out of here. What do you got? What do you hear?
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in. Best show on the planet, Smitty. What's up, squad? That defensive philosophy that you're seeing in Seattle, gosh, the idea was to do that in Arizona, I think, with the coach there. But exactly, man. Baltimore's defense was below par. And I think even in that conference, you have to, of course, stop a Lamar. You have to stop a Burrow. So I think you're dead on with that. Get to D.C.
To the moon.
Flores is great, I think. And then bring in an OC. You can probably find a superstar OC somewhere in the weeds, right, to complement a good DC, i.e. like a Kubiak, something along those lines, and you could. I think bringing in an OC and finding a good DC.
Yeah, I think Shieldhouse and Flores would be a good combo potentially. I still Shieldhouse and Flores could be a good combo together. Shieldhouse out of LAR.
I think you're right there, but I like the idea of that.
I know you don't like Munkin, but I'd be fine with Flores and Munkin too. I like Munkin. Munkin did amazing things with Lamar 1 year ago. I realized things fell apart last year, but man, things were good in Baltimore the year prior.
Well, I think you made a good point, and I don't know that it's just like Munkin. My point with Munkin was just kind of the same thing. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss up in the Giants. But whoever they would get, complemented with Flores, Munkin, or whomever, I think that would be ideal. And I think that would be ideal up in Pittsburgh as well. I mean, the quarterback class, and if you do bring Rodgers back, that keeps you in purgatory. Very well could keep you in the purgatory in terms of what are you trying to do?
Aaron Rodgers. Go ahead and hire back McCarthy. This is what Aaron Rodgers is saying. And then in a couple months, maybe 6 months, I'll tell you whether I'm back. But you got to do it first. And it's like, wow, Aaron Rodgers. I still love Aaron Rodgers. I still love Aaron Rodgers.
You can end up in the middle of the pack. I'm sorry. Then you can end up in the middle, back in the middle of the pack. You're just playing the middle. So let's I think, shore up the defense and bring in somebody other than.
Report here right now. This is probably a continuation of other reports. So I'm not necessarily saying it's brand new, but a report kind of rumoring around Twitter right now as of 9 minutes ago. Steelers strongly considering now Mike McCarthy as their next head coach. This according to Ray Fitt. Aaron Rodgers would definitely consider returning next season if McCarthy was the head coach of Pittsburgh. So that seems to be kind of gaining steam, unfortunately for you, BBQ, if that's not what you want. Chargers have requested Rams assistant head coach, defensive pass game coordinator, Pleasant, to interview for DC vacancy. Let me see if there's anything else that's flying around right now. Feeling around the league is that Tua Tagovailoa has played his last down as a Dolphin. That's like months old news, but that's going around right now. And that's about it for right now. There's not anything really new dropping, but I'll certainly let you guys know. Rams DC, Chris Shula to interview for the Browns head coaching job. Jeez. That wouldn't be good. I think anywhere if you go to Cleveland, you're not. It's not a stepping stone. It's going to be a setback because this is an inept organization. I mean, the problem is also if you get hired in Cleveland, you might be told who your starting quarterback is because they're paying one of them $47 million next year. So Watson might be forced upon whoever comes in. But all right, DJ, anything else?
Minter in Baltimore, leaving the Chargers. The impact for fantasy, I don't know, depending upon the OC, of course. But they're going to show up the defense. I don't know that it's really going to impact the Chargers towards that end. But again, they follow that model that you were speaking of. Bring in your D coordinator, and they bring in your OC. Yep. Best show on the planet, man.
All right, thanks, DJ. Later.
Later.
$10 holler from Blitzen. Blitzen, appreciate you. Thoughts on Cowboys hiring Christian Parker as their new DC? He's relatively inexperienced compared to most candidates, but I feel he's coming from a good staff. I mean, that's the thing, though. Some of these guys, even Minter to a degree, Minter's been following Harbaugh around, and they had a top 10 defense, so I think there's some resume there for sure, but you're taking a big gamble on if he'll ever be a good head coach. You have no idea. None of us have a single clue if Minter's good at doing all of the things that you have to do as a head coach that are different than just being a DC. So Minter, as much as we might like him, he hasn't proven a single thing yet. It's a big shot in the dark. But you get the right OC in place, and you figure the defense will be good, then it's a pretty solid bet. So Christian Parker, it could work out, might not. I mean, we don't really have a good feel. No one could, But thank you for the $10 holler. It's a great comment, great topic. It's definitely, but I think to suggest that he'll be bad or good is premature. And nobody really knows. And you'll hear a lot of Cowboys people, they'll spin anything. They could hire your grandma and be like, bro, my grandma hasn't been on this earth for about 5-6 years. It doesn't matter. She's going to do great. Her memory will help guide the ship. Like, if the Steelers hire McCarthy and bring back Peyote Rodgers, I'll be looking for a new team. Suffered through the last 9 years of Tomlin not doing it again. And I understand, I remember, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I think I would rip on people that would jump ship on a team. You're like, you're never really a true fan if there's something that can make you leave. I kind of disagree with that now. I think I'm understanding of people leaving teams when teams are abusive to their fan base. And how can you support it? Like, if the Cardinals hire Matt Nagy, thank God thank God a lot of my fandom has been driven away through the years of what I do. Because I don't think I could understand Cardinal fans saying, if you hire Matt Nagy as head coach, who they looked at and are looking at right now, they interviewed him. You don't know, you're so inept. Why would I support you? Why would I give you a single dollar by going to a game? Why would I enable the inept decision making? And so I totally get it. It's different too, especially with all the turnover lately. It's like teams can go up and down. And look, it is what it is. If a team is that stupid, like if the Cardinals hire Matt Nagy, I would want nothing to do with rooting for them. So I understand. I finally understand. It took me years to understand that. Because I think the Cardinals had never done anything like that. I haven't been they're just kind of bad. But we've had good times too, Kurt Warner. I think we were blessed with the Kurt Warner days. Even though we didn't win a Super Bowl, getting as far as we did, kind of painful talking to you about this, BBQ. With the Steelers, but I was blessed watching Kurt Warner play for the Arizona Cardinals. That takeaway was almost more valuable than winning a Super Bowl for me, because Kurt Warner is probably my most favorite player of all time in fantasy football and in the NFL. Great person, great story, 27-year-old riser, late in his career, counted out by everybody, not drafted by a single team. Brought in, cut again, brought in, cut, and then gets one more shot to shine, and it is amazing. Like, having Kurt Warner be my quarterback and having success, not at the end of his career, he did very well here, was better than any Super Bowl you could have handed me as a Cardinal fan. Steelers hire McCarthy. Sometimes the enjoyment of the game is better than just getting that, everybody they put all the pressure on whether they win or lose. Not everybody can win a Super Bowl. Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. Is Dan Marino a lesser quarterback? No. It's not everybody can win Super Bowls. It's Cardinals will eventually maybe win one. Yeah, but it's probably not in the next 2 or 3 years. So I'm not gonna hold my breath. Yeah, my BBQ, we'll see what happens. I'm sorry that you don't want McCarthy there. I don't mind McCarthy in the right spot, but do I want McCarthy for the Steelers? No. Do I want McCarthy in Arizona? I wouldn't mind it. Would I want McCarthy in a like LV situation? I wouldn't mind it. I think McCarthy brings offense. Fandom and loyalty drove me to fantasy football. I will never be a greater fan of football than I am a greater fan of fantasy, but that's because of what I do for a living. You know, it kind of ruins it in a way, soils it. But I have so much passion and love for what I do. Thankfully I replaced it with something that's good. Agreed, Smitty. Kurt Warner with Larry Fitzgerald was awesome. 2 amazing humans and players. Yeah, Kurt Warner's the best story. To be a part of Kurt Warner's journey as a fan was the greatest gift. I better than any Super Bowl. Just watching that, especially as close as we got to. Talking about like a play. It's painful. The Suns too. I mean, I guess I've just been through it all too. Like I'm old enough to remember not only, you know, all the recent Suns runs at a championship and looking like potentially a favorite at certain points. You know, the Booker Durant thing was new. I was there for Barkley. I was there for even before Barkley when I was a little kid. But Barkley in those days, you know, Dan Marley, Suns and the Cardinals fall short whenever they get to the big game. It's never happened. They've gotten there a couple times though, you know. Suns have gotten there, fail. Get there, fail. Thank you, BBQ, for the super chats. Appreciate you. And we'll be back at midnight. Please subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all on the channel at midnight Eastern. And don't forget to get on over to the live chat Patreon, 24/7, 365 live chat group, 24/7, 365 live chat group. Link is, let me put the link in the description right here, or in the live chat. The link is in the description, but let me put the link in the live chat and then we'll pin it on the way out. So patreon.com/the fantasy football show. That is the link to it. Let me copy said link and drop it in the live chat. There it is. Boom. Hit that link. Become a part. $10 a month. Cancel anytime. 24/7, 365 live chatting. And don't forget to get on over to my thefantasyfootballshow.com. It's a year-round content, bold predictions, trade calculators. Thefantasyfootballshow.com. Content, rankings. Boom, there it is. Click that link. Both links are in the description of the video, but all the rookies are included. 5 bold predictions are up. I've got articles on the Chargers stuff, and go check it out. That's up there. But Patreon, thefantasyfootballshow.com. See you all at midnight Eastern. Deuce. Don't forget to get your gunners at gunner.com. Don't forget to get your printing at bentonprint.com. Don't forget to get your underdog fix on. See you at midnight. Thank you, moderators. Thank you, Blackbeard, Travis, Space Ricky, Sick Nasty, Simi Valley, Daboll, Vampy, Doobie if he's out there, Kenny Powers if he's out there. Who else am I missing? Damn it. Oh, I'm missing somebody. Thank you, Simi. Appreciate you. Thank you for my super chats. Thank you, everybody. BBQ dropping one more. Don't see Pittsburgh hiring McCarthy. Oh, that's old. Thank you, BBQ, for that super chat. Thank you, Blitzen, for your $10 hauler, my boy. Appreciate you. Thank you, BBQ, for this one. Thank you, BBQ, for this one. And thank you, BBQ, for this one. And thank you, BBQ, for the 50 gifted memberships. BBQ to the mother freaking moon. BBQ.
To the moon.
See you at midnight Eastern. Deuce. Oh, and Rumble. Where's my Rumblers? Landman was over there. Got Landman on Rumble. We get 7 to 10 of you on Rumble still in there, but appreciate all my Rumblers. You guys absolutely rock. See you guys at midnight as well. Deuce.